The Chronicles of Narnia see the Pevensie children grow from youthful children to the rulers of Narnia over the course of one book, before pronouncing unique titles for each child. C.S. Lewis's famous series of novels details a vast and magical world, known as Narnia, which the four Pevensie children find themselves stumbling into at an incredibly confused and challenging time. With the White Witch forcing the entire kingdom into an eternal winter, those who live in Narnia are in desperate need of help. Fortunately, the four Pevensies find themselves uniquely qualified as they push forward into each new challenge and lead the Narnians to freedom. Of course, they also rely on the aid of their dear friend, Aslan the Lion, who then crowns the children as the new rulers of Narnia. This leads to a lengthy period known as the Golden Age of Narnia, before the Pevensies eventually returned home to England. Why the Pevensies are given new titles in the Chronicles of Narnia. The Pevensie children became heroes for the people of Narnia. In The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, natives of Narnia reveal to the Pevensies an important prophecy about those who will free the kingdom from the oppressive chokehold of the White Witch. 2 sons of Adam and 2 daughters of Eve are said to be the ones that will eventually free Narnia, and thus, the arrival of the human Pevensie children in Narnia caused quite a stir. Eventually, they do fulfill the first part of this prophecy, defeating the witch, and they then go on to rule over Narnia. While very little detail or insight is provided about specifics during their rule, the novel does reveal that the new rulers are all given unique titles alongside their new royal roles. It is likely that this was largely to do with making them royalty and distinguishing and honoring them for their incredible contributions to the kingdom. However, it is also possible that some of these titles were earned after their coronations, revealing just a small detail about their time as rulers. Each of the Pevensies' new names in Narnia and what they mean. They earn titles over their time as rulers in Narnia. Edmund Pevensie, the oldest boy, and the one who is crowned as the High King of Narnia, is given the title King Peter the Magnificent. The oldest Pevensie daughter, Susan, is then granted the title of Queen Susan the Gentle. Edmund, a boy who initially found himself siding with the White Witch, becomes King Edmund the Just. And last, but certainly not least, the youngest, Lucy, is called Queen Lucy the Valiant. How long do the Pevensies rule Narnia and what happens to them in the books? The Pevensie children grew to adulthood in Narnia before returning home. Time in Narnia works very differently to time in the real world. Technically, the Pevensies reigned on the throne for a grand total of 15 years, from about the year 1000 to the year 1015. However, at the end of this time, they grew up. They spent years ruling Narnia and shaping the world back to its former glory, but they continued to yearn to return home. This leads to the group retiring from the throne and returning to the magical wardrobe that leads them home. Upon returning home to England, the Pevensies return to the age they were prior to entering Narnia. Presumably, this was a jarring and confusing moment for the heroes. Despite this, they settled back into ordinary ways of life, and they were careful to avoid referencing their lengthy stay in Narnia and their positions as royalty while there. Eventually, the kids return to Narnia, but this occurs many generations later when their reign turns into legend in the Chronicles of Narnia.